Indonesia is now starting to enter the 5.0 era. An era where technological developments that have been developed by humans will begin to be embedded in our life. It is a sign of the progress of the times, where the combination between human and technology finally creates an era. So, the era will have an impact on the lives of all levels of society. Indonesia has amazing diversity. It's proven for many cultures that exist in Indonesia. And not only that, Indonesia also has a population that is quite intelligent and creative. And it is estimated that Indonesia will experience a period called a demographic bonus in 2030. This shows that the progress in the 5.0 era will occur simultaneously with the demographic bonus of the Indonesian nation. But the question is, how does the current generation, as a result of the demographic bonus, use their global thinking skills to address diversity in the 5.0 era? Now, let me tell you how in this speech. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, before going to my speech today, let me introduce myself first. My name is Daffa Yusuf, and I'm from SMP Sains Tebuireng. At this very special moment, let me deliver my speech with the title, The Global Thinking of the Current Generation in Integrating Various Diversity, which is a benchmark for the progress of this nation without shifting Indonesian identity. Ladies and gentlemen, did you know about the demographic bonus that I have mentioned before? Well, the demographic bonus is a period where the number of productive age population will exceed the number of non-productive age population. And this period will be experienced by the Indonesian nation in 2030. Because of that, there will be many current generation who will lead the progress of this nation in order to help the development of the Indonesian nation. And of course, they cannot change the identity of Indonesia. But one of the things they can do is to use their thinking skills to combine various diversity with the development in the 5.0 era. This moment can be a challenge as well as opportunity for the current generation, because they have to know how to combine cultural diversity with development in the 5.0 era. And if they are able to do that, it will be an opportunity for the current generation to show their skills in facing various changes as well as benchmark for the progress of this nation. Let's imagine if they could harmonize cultural diversity such as traditional dance or painting and align in the existing technological advances in Indonesia, such as artificial intelligence. They might be able to create programs that contain data about cultures in Indonesia as an effort to preserve the culture itself. And we can organize it to make the data that has been included to the programs cannot be changed by the other parties. So the originality of the cultures can be maintained by us. Interesting, right? Ladies and gentlemen, of course it doesn't happen without reason. What would happen if the current generation was unable to combine various diversity with technological advances in Indonesia? Of course, this would be a big danger, because it's impossible for them to eliminate the cultures in Indonesia that are considered old and ancient, and then they will only use the cultures that are considered compatible with technological developments. Have you ever heard the quote that says, "Think globally, act locally"? I think this is one of the reasons why the current generation must be able to develop their thinking abilities, especially globally. The meaning of this quote is where, apart from adapting our thinking abilities to the wider world, we must be able to do something for the good of those around us. Moreover, this is an effort to maintain the identity of Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, the current generation must be able to think wisely in responding to change, so as not to change Indonesia's original identity. And if they are able to do that, they can even combine technological advances with cultural diversity in Indonesia. What do you think the current generation can do to face the changes in the 5.0 era and wisely combine it with cultures in Indonesia? According to data from indonesiabike.id, in 2045, 70% of Indonesia's population will be people with productive age. And this is good news. It means the number of productive age population will be very sufficient to face changes in the 5.0 era. And now I will tell you 3 important points that the current generation can do to face the 5.0 era without shifting Indonesian identity, especially for increasing their global thinking abilities. And these are the points. The first point, appreciating cultural diversity. Indonesia is a multicultural country where many of these cultures are well known abroad. For example, an Indonesian arts and culture festival called Keraton, which is held on the West Coast United States. This event is aimed to promote Indonesian cultural identity, and this festival is able to attract thousands of visitors. This proves cultures in Indonesia deserve to be appreciated because it has extraordinary appeal, so it shouldn't be removed under the pretext of technological progress. The second point, respect cultural diversity. Initially, the various cultural diversity in Indonesia was none other than because Indonesia has many regions and islands, where each region has their own customs and culture that were different each other. And it should be erased because it's the identity of Indonesia. And we should be able to preserve it or even align it with existing technological advances. Because basically, even though we have many differences, we are still one nation and share one blood, namely the Indonesian homeland. The third and the last point, adapting technological advances to various diversity. It is the main point, because at this point, the current generation thinking abilities will be tested, and whether they are truly able to use their thinking abilities, especially globally. This is a challenge in itself for the current generation, because they have to think wisely in order to maintain the various cultures that are developing in Indonesia. And if they are able to carry out and overcome this challenge, I'm sure that Indonesia deserves to be called a developed country. Ladies and gentlemen, finally we have reached the end of the speech, and I hope that the current generation candidates who listen to my speech will be moved to further develop their thinking abilities, especially globally. And that's all from me. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.